You can greet your guests in Zoom.
Okay. So I see people. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today. See all kind of different names. Hey, welcome, Keisha. I see your face is showing. I love when people show the video. Hey, what's going on? Already ready. Get started. Afia, welcome, Afia. Make sure that you mute your phone. Welcome, Shari, Mary, Marie. Welcome, Stacy. Get your, make sure that you have your water, get pen and paper so you can get this information. I'm gonna be the professor on today. So that means you need to take some notes, get ready to do a little bit of journaling as well. So grab your pen, your paper, as well as some water or your beverage of choice. I know it's early for you, but it's early for me. I'm in California. So it's early. That's the next level. So make sure you get ready on today. Yes, happy Black Love Day. That's what I'm talking about. Happy Black Love Day.
Doc, you can repeat. Folks are coming in every few seconds. So you can just tell them what to do, tell them who you are, say hey.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Rosché. Just saw Denise coming in as well. So welcome this morning. To get prepared for this morning, I want you guys to make sure you have your pen, your paper, get some a beverage. We don't want the voice to go out. No. So get prepared so you can share. I'm going to invite you to share a couple of times on today. Get your fingers ready because I want you to fire up the chat. I'm going to ask you to fire up the chat. So make sure that you get ready on today as well. So make sure you get your pen, your paper, and your beverage. All right, I see the chat is already getting fired up with the Love Day.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all those that are on Facebook land, that's on Zoom this morning. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what we're going to do on today. So my name is Dr. Rosché Brown, and I am actually a licensed clinical psychologist, as well as a financial coach. And so today we're going to discuss more about finances. So I just want you to, in 1 second, just take one deep breath. We're going to just take one deep breath as a whole together, because I understand one thing, that people love money, but they hate math. And so their spirits get disconnected. So we want to get back connected to being able to hear this information. We're not going to be talking about math on today, even though we are talking about numbers. So everybody, just, sit and get comfortable in your chairs, wherever you are. And I just want us to take just one good, strong, deep breath, just one. And then we're going to go into a more introduction about who I am. All right, so let's get comfortable. Get me ready. All right, and let's just take one good deep breath for a count of 4. And let's hold it for a second. Now breathe out and release all that tension and negativity, all that past and all those numbers. All right, let's get ready. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more about me. So as I said, I'm Dr. Rosché, and I'm a psychologist and financial coach. My business is that I am the doctor of rethinking, and I help people to remix their thinking. Y'all gotta say it with me, remix, say it at your house, wherever you are, just be able to remix your thinking so you can have a new way of living. And I help people to make money, manage money, and of course, multiply their money. Now, is there anybody right now that is on Zoom land or Facebook who is ready to make some money? Y'all can put some $ in the chat, because I like to fire up the chat. Let me know that you are a person who's ready to make money, but you also want to learn how to manage that money better, as well as you want to multiply your money, right? Multiply your money. So a lot of us want more money. Yes, I see money bags. Okay, I'm ready for that. Let's go. $. I see y'all. So we want to make sure that we are in that position that we are going to make that money, manage it, and of course, multiply that money. So everybody wants more money. Everybody wants more money. Every time I'm talking to people, people tell me they want more money. But guess what? More money will just make you more of who you are. More money will make you more of who you are. So then the question has to be, who are you, right? Who are you? Who are you? And that's what we're really going to cover on today, because as I am a licensed clinical psychologist, I really understand that there's a mindset when it comes down to money. And so that's what I really want to cover as we talk today, and we talk about breaking that addiction, to the money struggle. Give you a couple more credential aspects of who I am, and then I want to tell you a little bit more about my story of who I am. So for me, as a licensed clinical psychologist, I have been doing this work since 2006 is how long I've been doing therapy. It's been a while. It's been a while. I've been doing this work. I worked in multiple different areas. I worked with elementary school students. I've worked with foster youth, transitional age youth. I had my own private practice as well that worked with adults. I also have worked in prisons. I worked with veterans about their compensation for PTSD. I've done a lot of different areas, but about 5 or 6 years ago, I added the financial component to it, because I started to realize for most of my clients that their mental health stress was really tied into a lot of money stress. So anybody who feels that some of your stress, like even mental health, it'll cause depression, cause you to have anxiety when your money's not right. They go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. And so on today, I know we're on day 261. Woo! Y'all been doing this for a long time. And so as we're on day 261, part of my name is the Doctor of Rethinking. I help people to really rethink some things. So I'm sure you guys understand that your thinking impacts your feelings, which ultimately impacts your behavior, right? So your thinking impacts your feelings, which impacts your behavior. A lot of people will share about it's almost like your behavior is like an iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg is the behavior that we see: potential impulsive spending, poor money habits. That's what we see. But underneath it, there's so many things that are going on, right? That means that there are other things that might be happening. So it's that thinking and that feeling that is happening. And so we need to make sure that we kind of activate some awareness. So do I have your permission today to activate some awareness for you? Maybe to disturb some things, because everybody doesn't like new numbers in that money idea. But also I want to encourage you to try something new. Thank you for, yes, thank you for saying that it's okay, that I have permission to do so. Thank you, thank you. So let me give you a little bit more of my just more personal story to help you understand a little bit more about how I came to be just who I am and why this money is even more, why I'm more passionate about it. So I'm from Cali. So I know it's morning where you guys are, possibly on the East Coast. Everybody might be from different places, but it's early here. So it's 4 a.m. So I'm here for, really being committed to the process to share information. Okay, I'm really committed to it. So on today, as we are going to be talking about this money, just to give y'all some understanding, I grew up in my big mama's house. I don't know if anybody understands what it means to grow up in a big mama's house. If you do, put big mama in the chat, let me know. And so to give you some understanding of like my life is that I grew up in Oakland. Sometimes y'all know Keisha Cole, y'all might know about Too Short, but guess what? We didn't got more fancier now. Y'all might know about a good VP, Kamala Harris. That's what you know when you think about Oakland, right? You think about Oakland, right? And so in my big mama's house, we had my big mama who had diabetes, hypertension, the sugars, right? All those things, right? She had that going on. And then as well as I had an uncle who was addicted to alcohol in the household. I also had another uncle who was addicted to crack cocaine. And that was my household. My mom decided like, ooh, I can go save the day. I'm going to stay with my mama and be able to change the chaos. Now, anybody who understands truly living in that kind of environment, you don't change any of that chaos, by deciding to live there. But my mom thought she could. And so that was my makeup of in my life, was a lot of people in my life who were definitely mismanaging money, because every time they got money, it was going to levels of addiction, right? The actual addictions. But additionally, I grew up in a world of crisis. So there were literally fire trucks and ambulances coming all the time because of my big mama's health, right? If you understand or even resonate with any level of that story, go ahead and put the big mama in the chat. And then also, additionally, when it came down to the addiction and living in the house of addiction, the police were called significantly all the time in my household. So I want you guys to just have an understanding of what was like for me growing up. And so what happened for me is that I got into a place where I was just kind of high energy, high strung, had a little bit more anxiety on a regular basis, right? And I recognized that even though I no longer live in that world anymore, I have moved up in the world, I have my own home, all this great stuff, that I still have levels of anxiety like that. And so the reason why I say all that is because the way that the brain fires is the way that the brain will wire. Okay, you hear that? The way that the brain fires is the way that the brain will wire. And that's based on your story. So whatever your personal story is. And so on today, as we are on the Black Love Day, as Shani has already posted in the chat, right? Black Love Day. When I think about love, I think about relationship. I think about relationship, our relationships with others. I think about our relationships with ourselves, right? I think about relationships with romantic relationships, family relationships. But there is a very important type of relationship that we need to pay attention to, and that is our relationship with money. Money, okay? When I think about the word love, love to me means doing what's best for, right? Whether you're gonna do what's best for another person or what's best for yourself, right? Like it's doing what's best for. And so sometimes it doesn't always feel good to do what's best for. Like, for example, I probably shouldn't have ate the honey bun that I ate because I need to put something inside of me, right? It wasn't the best decision for myself. But when I'm trying to get my health together, sometimes it doesn't always feel good to challenge myself. But on today, I definitely want to ask that you challenge yourself when it comes down to thinking about this game about money. When we talk about money. So today we're actually going to talk about breaking this addiction to money using the L.O.V.E method. L.O.V.E. Okay, L.O.V.E. That's how I'm going to break it down for you guys on today. But first, as we get started, and we're talking about that good old relationship, tell me, and I want you guys to think about it. You guys have your pen, your paper, you're ready to learn this information. Like I said, I'm going to be like a professor on today to give you some information, and I want to facilitate, an awareness inside of you and facilitate a conversation as well. But as we think about on today, our relationship with money, think for yourself, what is like 1 or 2 words that would describe your relationship with money? What would be 1 or 2 words that would describe your relationship with money? Is it a struggle relationship? Is it a love-hate relationship? Is it a worry relationship? Is it a YOLO relationship? You only live once, so you might just be on that whole impulsive spending level. What would be that 1 or 2 words that would describe your relationship when it comes down to money? Okay. I see some people are putting in the chat, cautious and careful. I actually even want to invite, maybe somebody might be willing to unmute and share with us, what is that word that you would say about a relationship, your relationship with money? 1 or 2 words. Let's see who put somebody in the chat. I'll just probably tell one of you guys since y'all already are active. Unmute and let's see. Ooh, it's a lot of things going on in this chat. Boy. All right. Let's say purple. Tell us about this word, worry.
Good morning. I had a feeling you was gonna call me. It's so weird. I'm always worried about money. I try not to. I notice that I block it coming in. When I do get it coming in, I'm still worried about it. Even when I'm saving, I'm worried about it. When other people are trying to spend it on me, I'm worried about it. Yeah, that's my relationship. It just, I don't breathe deeply. It's not, I don't have an easy flow, right? Like a currency, like come and go with it. Right. It's either it's coming and I'm holding on to it, nervous about what to do. I'm always happy. The only time I find that I'm really happy is when I'm paying my bills. I feel so appreciative that I have the money to pay my bills. Like I feel so good. Like that is my break from worry. Every time I pay my bills, I feel so, I feel gratitude. And it's an up and down experience. So I've gone through 3 periods when I've saved, had what I needed for 6 months to a year. And then I get to a point where other people, there's something I have going on, my self-worth manifests through money. So other people's situations as well, I'll start spending, or I'll just, I'll justify some big spend and then have no savings. And so I've never been able to have savings for that it accumulates and stays for decades or whatever. It's only there for a couple of years and then it's gone. I've done that 3 times. And then in between for years, I have no savings, which makes me worried.
Yes. Thank you so much for really going into detail about that. And you covered a couple of different areas that's really important. And some people may even resonate. I'm sure a lot of people resonate with that idea of really being worried when it comes down to our money based on our experiences. Particularly, you brought up a very good thing around that level of even saving and feeling like the savings is going away too quickly. That's a area where you have you end up saving and then you're like, oh, it's gone. And it was a pattern that's happened over and over a couple of times in your life. And I want to say like that is so common for most people, is that we find ourselves in these patterns and it feels like we're unable to get out of these patterns when it comes down to our money, you know? And one thing that was really more uncommon is that idea of when you feel a break from worry, actually in the times when you're able to pay a bill. Most people hate the bill part, right? And that actually causes more anxiety. But to be in a state of gratitude is definitely a great position to continue to attract more money in your life, on that one. So thank you, Purple, for definitely sharing on this morning. So as we go through this process, and we're going to go through the LOVE acronym on today, to really I want to help you guys to do some rewiring of your relationship with money. Okay, we're going to go through a little bit of a process of rewiring for our relationship with money through love. And love is a high frequency, right? We own the love day. That's high frequency. Good things happen when we're in the state of love. We're not in a good place when we're in worry, right? When we're in fear, that's low frequency, right? When we're in a place of shame and guilt, upset with ourselves based on the decisions we made when it comes down to money. Those areas are low frequencies, right? And so what we want to do as the first acronym in L is what we want to do is let go. Okay? Let go. That's that L. That L is let go. Now the question is, what do we need to be letting go of? Right? So we need to be letting go of people, places, and practices that no longer serve us. Okay, we need to let go of people, places, and practices that no longer serve us anymore. Okay, I love that, Purple. You said I want to trust myself more when it comes down to money. Okay, that's beautiful. So we're going to definitely be in that place. So let's talk about that. When it comes down to any type of relationship that we have and any type of relationship with people, right? People are the first area that teaches us about money, right? That's the first time. So whether directly or indirectly, we all have different types of money models. Money models. Somebody modeled how to handle your money to you, right? And those money models contribute to whatever your first money memories are. Okay. And then going further, your money memories then move you into a particular type of money story, a money story that you are living with on today. So to give you even an example of whatever that money model might be, and it could be good or bad, but for me, I had a lot of different people who shared about money for me, from the positive and some from the negative. But as a child, I told you I was in this house of people who were in a place of spending their money on addiction, and people who get paid on the first, and then by the third, maybe the fifth, they had nothing left. That's what I saw on a regular basis. And that was my first level, earliest money memories, were seeing that type of pattern of people, often having money and then all of a sudden no longer having anything, and then struggling the rest of the month. And I realized what ended up happening, especially in the very early times, in my understanding of money, I was in a position a lot of times with people where I got kind of that worry level of money. I was afraid of allowing to even spend money because I didn't want to be the same thing as people in my family and always find myself struggling. I was scared to ever get to the place of struggle, scared to not have money at the end of the month. And so that led me to, when I was starting to make money, to hold on to it very, very, very tightly. Not recognizing that money is energy. It must flow, right? It must flow. You need to save as well, but you also need to let it flow. You need to invest. You need to do some other things with it. And so I want to, invite you guys today. We're going to do a quick journaling exercise. And in this journal exercise, I want you to think about for a second, what were your earliest memories of money? Your earliest memories of money. And I'm going to ask somebody to share. So go ahead and just do a quick journaling exercise about what is your earliest memories of money. How old were you? Was it like a piggy bank? Was it allowance? It could have been birthday gifts. It could have been somebody asking you for some money. All kind of different things could be part of that. And so I just want you guys to just think about what is your earliest memories of money, and who was your money model? Who taught you something directly or indirectly about your money? Who taught you that? So let's take a second, and if anybody is ready to share, I'm just gonna go ahead, and I want to give at least a minute for people to write it down. And then I will I'm gonna check in with some of these people who are already like firing up the chat. One of y'all are going to be the one to possibly share on today. Okay. That's so funny, Terry. I was actually going to ask you to unmute anyway. That you get the look at that. The spirit led me to you anyway. Would you mind unmuting Terry and sharing with us a little bit about that? I see that you said my earliest memory of money was from a place of lack and not enough. Yep.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm not on camera.
No problem.
Yes. I'm the oldest, and my mom had to leave a very bad situation. So I have a lot of memories of there not being enough money, us struggling to get by, running out of things, the refrigerator being empty when we went shopping, the cupboards being bare. So my earliest memories come from that. So consequently, as an adult, or even as a teenager, when I started working, I almost felt like I needed to hoard money so that I would not have lack thereof.
I definitely resonate with that story of feeling like you're not going to have enough. And then can we just go a little deeper about that? How do you think that that's kind of informed, your money story currently, of who you are today, and how you manage your money?
Which would lead to my earlier comment about me being very careful and cautious about how I spend my money. I also I'm letting that go, but I also turned into, for a period of time, a rescuer of other people who were having financial challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to let some of that go because I realized that with some folks, that's just a pattern of how they live and how they survive. And I had put myself in that rescuer mode for fear of them having lack and not enough. And therefore, I was unable to do some other creative things that I could have done with my money.
Yes. Ooh, let me just tell you how powerful that is. And I'm sure other people are able to, believe that as well, or resonate with that story. A lot of times when we're in a position of having, we can often be a giver. That can be a relationship, always constantly giving, that feeling of like, to whom much is given, much is required. And so we end up, giving to other people a lot as well. And it's very important. I'm just going to kind of drop this nugget about just boundaries, not only with boundaries with ourselves, but boundaries with others as well. When it comes down to our money story, and making sure that we're not sowing into irresponsibility. Right? We're thinking that we're helping somebody, but we're sowing into their irresponsibility areas, right? And if we're not teaching them, skills on managing their money correctly, they will always depend and need us, right? And they will never get into a position where they can actually grow, and they'll always need you, always constantly need you. So I hear that story about rescuing others. That is a huge thing. It actually is one of the major things that has us have this wealth gap, particularly between Black America and white America, is that Black America, no matter how many degrees you get and you become a professional, that you often are in a position that you'll end up sharing with other people. So that is very, very good. Thank you so much, Terry, for sharing. Okay. All right. And now just going a little deeper, I'm gonna be conscious of time as much as possible on today. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more, just as we're talking about this money story. I'm just going to talk about a couple of money beliefs that can come up for us even currently. And how do you resonate with these things? So you kind of just want to write some of these. You can write some of them down. And I'll definitely want to read a couple more of memories inside the chat. I will do so in a second. But I also realized there's certain money beliefs that we have that inform how we continue to operate. So sometimes people will say, like rich people are greedy, right? Or maybe money is the root of all evil. You often will hear something like that. You may hear, it could be something positive, or money is power. That depends on how you might resonate it with different ways. Maybe you'll say it can be money is what gives life meaning, right? So I need to have as much as possible. Money should be saved, not spent. Maybe you say money should be spent, not saved. So different areas that can come up for you, and you want to get really identify, what is your current thoughts when it comes down to money that's really informing your patterns right now. Okay, let me just read some of these because y'all dropping a whole bunch of gems in here, and I just want to make sure that everybody sees some of these early memories. I have one early memory, mother, which was place of lack. She was always worried about money, which also manifested in being obsessed to this day about who had money and who didn't. I always heard the price of things. I resolved that I would not talk about it and would change my perspective from hers. It's been a journey changing that thinking. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. I got to remix your thinking, but it is a process. It's definitely a process. I see some other ones in here. I had let's see. So a lot of people talking about lack.
Okay.
Yes.
We can actually pick up on some of that stuff because you're right. There is a lot of stuff in the chat. I even saw a few things coming from Facebook. I know you read some of the stuff from Zoom. So let's take a little break, call her Charmaine, and see if there's anything that she wants to bring in from our Facebook family there.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, John Carl. So we have Laura shared her earliest memory, and it's of my earliest memory of money was feeling at a young age that there was never enough. We were always struggling. My model was my mother, who did not have a positive relationship with money, and my father, who never wanted to give up any money to support the family. And then we have Cynthia Francis, piggy bank, family giving for chores or special occasions, just feeling generous. Earliest impression was family, mom, dad, grandparents, good and bad experiences. But when we never were hungry, but definitely watched my mom struggle at times. My dad always held onto money. My grandparents had little business on both sides. So that made an impression also. And just for myself, I grew up um, in London in the beginning of my life where my mother left money around and we were introduced to being able to have money and how to spend. And then they transitioned into Trinidad where we totally struggled. My mother had no money. She did not have the resources. And my father, who decided that, he wanted to move on with his life, then stopped supporting my mother financially.
Mm.
So I had a good side, in the beginning, and then my teenage, where I'm most impressed was terrible with money.
Yeah. You spoke to something that was really interesting, and someone else that you mentioned on Facebook, is that idea of like you starting a struggle happening and then like a father not being willing to support in that time period. And somebody else mentioned that on Facebook, right? And that's really important because we see that that relationship with our money also can possibly even inform how we have relationships with our romantic partners, right? Even that can even be connected on how you end up seeing, you know, somebody as a support to you as well. So you see how it can end up becoming something generalized in other areas in our lives and kind of spread as well. So thank you for sharing all the people that were on Facebook as well. So thank you for all of that. Now let's talk about that the O. So we have to let go, you know, of some of the story that we are still that we still have with us, right? So the L is letting go, because I want us to make sure that and this is a process, right? It's a process. I'm not telling you it's gonna be over today, right? But it's a process. But we definitely want to let go. But the only way for us to let go is to really acknowledge what our stories are for ourselves. Then we can get to that place to be able to let go of those stories, recognizing that those stories no longer serve us anymore. They no longer serve us anymore, right? And so we want to be able to, you know, learn from them, but make sure we looking at our lives today, like, are we in lack? Or are we possibly creating lack in our lives? You know, I was saying like the way the brain fires is the way that the brain will end up wiring. A lot of times when I'm even working with clients, I'll recognize that they may have a struggle was a part of their childhood. And what they will end up doing is creating their world to continue that struggle even today, even when they make enough money. They will still feel like they don't have enough money. Another way that most people manage their money is that they use their first paycheck, for instance, and that first paycheck goes to all of your major bills. And then that second paycheck, you kind of impulsively spend. That's kind of a very common way of doing it. And it's to keep that same struggle experience for you. And you don't know that you're recreating it just in the way that you're choosing to manage your money. I hope that makes sense for everybody, that you can just, recreate it for yourselves. But let's go ahead and first thing you're gonna do is let go. But then let's go into that O. So the O part is owning your fears. We've been talking a lot about worry this morning. So the O is owning your fears. Owning your fears. Now, fears, I say, are lies we like to tell ourselves, right? Lies that we like to tell ourselves on a regular basis, right? And we lie about all kinds of things, all kinds of things to ourselves. You know, we'll sit there and say, you know, I'll never have enough money. It'll never work out. You know, we constantly are in the area of lying that I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving of having more money, right? These are lies that we end up telling ourselves. And so if we need to get out of a lie, guess what? We need to replace it. It must be replaced with some truth, right? But we have to understand that, where does truth come from? You know, truth comes from like our experiences. So having experiences that can help us understand truth. But truth also comes from education and exposure. You know, I actually got my doctorate degree when I was 25 years old. I went to billions of years of school, it feels like, going to school to get my doctorate degree as a psychologist. And there was never anyone who ever taught me about my money. Just like basic financial literacy was never taught in all those years of school. Elementary school, you know, middle school, high school, nobody decided to teach me about money. When I decided to go into, undergrad, I went to graduate school, nobody ever stepped in to teach me about money. And so now when my first job as a psychologist, I was making more money than anybody in my family, including my mom, who was about to retire. You know, I was making really good money, but nobody was ever there to interrupt my pattern, right, of how I spent my money. I didn't know what to do with it because of my exposure that was around me. You know, people only spent it. That's all I understood. When it came down to education, nobody ever had financial literacy. It wasn't there for me. And so on today, I just want to challenge you guys to do some things. Okay. So because I realize that a lot of us have a lot of fears that we won't even go and look at our money. We won't look at a credit score because we're afraid of what it may say, you know? And so we decide to avoid. And I feel like in our world, we have an addiction to just avoidance. You know, we're always avoiding, you know, areas of our lives, constantly distracting ourselves about things. And so I want us to get to a place, and I'm going to challenge you guys, and I want you to say that you're going to do it. So I'm going to see who's going to do it, okay? Because you know, I don't want you guys to avoid this thing, because the longer that we're not aware of what the problem is, the longer that we'll stay in the suffering. So the more that you're avoiding, you're actually prolonging your suffering, right? Avoidance prolongs suffering, whether you're smoking, you're drinking to not deal with your emotion, where you're having sex to not deal with your emotion, whatever it may be, hanging out with people, workaholics, whatever it may be, we get ourselves, you know, addicted to that avoidance, and then we'll prolong our suffering, right? And I want us to today to not find ourselves in that area. I want us to be able to own our fears, but ultimately face them. So the challenge that I have for all of you guys that are on today is I want you to look at your paycheck. This is so simple. I want you to look at your paycheck, because I can ask people, how much do you make? You'd be surprised. And you know, and if it's you can just say ouch to yourself, right? Because you may be this person. But most people don't even look at their paycheck and even look at the money that is coming in. They don't even look to see how much money is coming in. So I want to challenge you guys to look at how much money is coming in. The next challenge that I have for you is that I want you to write down all of your expenses. Now, this is the practical stuff, but you need the practical because we're not even taught to do these things. And that's going to be part of owning our fears. So the practical areas is I want you to write down all of your expenses, okay? I want you to go look at your credit score. Please look at your credit score. If you have retirement, go check it out. Go look at it. Majority of people don't even know that, like, what's in their retirement. They might contribute to it and never pay attention to how much it is. So I want you to go look at these numbers. You know, everybody like, oh, I'm scared of numbers, but these numbers are important. They inform how your life goes. So I want you guys to, I just challenge you guys to go out and really, really just look at those numbers, okay? If you agree to that challenge, can you put agree in the chat? So I know, you know, if you're on Facebook, put agree in the chat that you're at least gonna face your fears enough to go look at how much you make, to know specifically down to the cent, to write down all of your expenses, to look at your credit score, to look at that good old retirement, see what is happening. Now that you do that, here goes the next level, There's two different models that we have around money. It's either the deprivation model or the prosperity model, okay? And I'm gonna challenge you guys to operate under both of these. So now that you have written down your expenses, I see some people have already been in a position, somebody said, I'm already looking at my numbers all the time. Now this is the next level around deprivation. So deprivation is the area of cutting back. So when you go through your numbers, I just want you to choose one thing that you are willing to cut back on. I don't know what it is. It could be just a $3 something, but I want you to know that it's possible to do a cutback. Maybe you go to Starbucks 5 days a week, you want to move it down to 3. Whatever it is, I just want you to look and be able to say the deprivation is at least one thing must be cut back, okay, that you need to see that you can do, that is possible for you to do just even maybe this month, the rest of the month. It's not even that much more time, right? This is a short month, okay? But that I'll challenge you guys to have at least cut back on at least one thing. The second area is the prosperity model, the prosperity model. So when I talk about prosperity, is the idea of increasing cash flow. So you need some more money. For us to really operate, we probably do need a little bit more money to make that happen. So I want you to think about the prosperity model. And so the prosperity model is to think about ways that you can increase your cash flow, increase your cash flow. I had a coach one time and she said, you don't have a money problem, but you have an idea problem. Okay. You don't have a money problem. You have an idea problem. Okay. So you want to look at your life and you want to think about, where are some areas that I could end up increasing some money in my life? And it could be all kind of ways. You might be DoorDash and Instacart and Uber eating, whatever it may be. That might be a way to do it. Having a temporary job. You may be having a side hustle of some sort, right? Some network marketing or something like that, that might be able to increase some cash flow for you. You may, I call it, our value are our price tags. I call it price tags. So here goes a quick acronym within the acronym, and it's called TAGS, TAGS. Okay, TAGS, and that is, what are your T, your talents, A, your abilities, G, your gifts, and then S, your strengths. That is our tags, and so we have to figure out ways to monetize those tags. Okay. All right. So anybody, we can actually get somebody to share how are you guys feel about the idea of looking at your money on today, and can you be in a position to even think about, if possible, to do the deprivation and prosperity? So I'm gonna call on somebody. I see Afia. You already said something. Ooh, let's talk to you, Afia. Afia, do you mind unmuting for us today?
I don't mind. I'll put myself on camera too. I think I'm in the dark, but good morning. Yeah, I was going with what's on us, the tags. I didn't get all the pieces, T and A. I think I need to still hear, but yeah, that sort of monetizing and maximizing strength scares me. And I know I have an idea of some of what that has to do with, but yeah, the keeping track of it, the holding on to it, the being aware of what the numbers are. I've stayed pretty aware that the only thing I have to check is one of my retirement accounts, but the others, I know the numbers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the idea of doing more. When I was writing it down, I felt a little like, so, that's just being honest. And I know it's something that probably is worthwhile to address so that I can go over that hump and do that. So and honestly, not for nothing, I have projects. I have ideas. I have stuff that I want to write that's been sitting in my mind and on a piece of paper for a while. That's not, and I'm aware of some talents and strengths and stuff, but yeah, it's a little monetizing them and taking the leap to do some of that sounds scary to me.
Yeah, and do you feel like it's scary because you don't understand the direction to go to? Is it like areas of feeling like, not valuable? Will somebody not want what you have as your gifts?
I think not valuable, and maybe there's also some ill connection to money related to the things. Mm-hmm. Like also a fear that it will be valuable. I think that's what it is, because I have an idea of strength, and I have an idea like the stuff that I like to do, and sometimes I'll do it in a volunteer way, or I love even more so. What's the word? Bartering. That's something that, to the extent that I, have been able to do that, I like it. Sort of sharing collective strengths. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's another. I definitely feel like there's a fear piece there, and a lack of assumption of worth to certain mm-hmm. things, and also just the unknown, and the work that it might take to monetize a thing. Mm-hmm. Is like, I know what I have. I know how I've gotten it. I know, those things are, there's clarity. There's a linearness to that stuff that I'm comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And some of the others are more mystifying, and there's some fear there about it. And I mean, like, that's just my strength stuff. The DoorDash things, I'm like, I don't want to do that. So
no, I definitely hear you. Thank you so much, Afia, for sharing. But that idea of worth, right? Especially when it comes down to monetizing our gifts. We have to be connected to the level of, like, that we are worthy, that we are deserving, of what's possible, with our connecting. Just kind of what's so important, I often ask people, is like, when we're tapping into our gifts, we're able to, of course, bless ourselves, but who really misses out when we choose not to tap into our gifts, right? Who misses out when you don't tap into your gifts? A lot of people be like, oh, I miss out. No. It's not about you, right? It's really about all the people who actually need more of what you have. There's people out here, wishing that your business, your product, your service was available for them. You hear me? There's people that wish that this was possible. And so when you don't tap into your gift, you're actually doing a disservice for the world and the community to get better. Right? You want to really, like, understand that. I mean, if 261 days ago, right? if Wake Up Everybody, if the tapping into gifts weren't happening, right? Look at all the people who would have missed out on that. So you have to think about that as well when it comes down to your life, is that we have to make sure that we push ourselves and challenge ourselves to, invest in yourself around business coaching, whatever it may be, so you can learn the skills to get there. I apologize, Teresa, I saw that your hand is raised. Did you want to share?
Before we transition to Teresa,
Yes.
I wanted to share some things based on Afia's expressions about where she's at. So two things come up for me, and it's something that I coach on. When folks are engaged in, like, popping from thing to thing, so the what is it called, network marketing.
Yeah.
I have people in my life who have been part of multiple network marketing spaces and places. So if the call for your life is sales and generating and bringing people in, I can see you doing that, the hopping around. But if
Mhm.
it's just about, I got to do the next thing to eat, to me, that's low vibrational. And so I have
Yeah.
folks who don't trust that they're able to generate from their tags, things that you offered up. So they have 13 jobs because they don't trust. They operate from scarcity and they don't trust. And so they
Mhm.
feel like they have to do all these different things because they won't be able to eat just on the strength of their gifts, their talents, their abilities, and the strengths and things that you talked about in the tags share. The other piece that, what did she mention? Oh my goodness. Oh, bartering. That's another trap if you're not grounded. So you can, and maybe she said this and I missed it, that you can declare something a barter so you don't have to speak from a space of, this is what I do is worth. This is what I charge. A barter can sometimes be a place to hide. So you
Yes.
have to declare X, Y, and Z, or this is the amount that I declare for the works and the goods, the services, the products that I bring into the world. Also, sometimes in the barter, there's not an equitable exchange. And so if you're not clear about your worth, even your bartering is low vibrational. So if what you're offering is worth $5,000 and what the other person is offering is worth $1,000, you're bartering and having that exchange, feeling really great about it, but there's a false equity between you and the other person or entity. And so therefore you're manifesting more lack,
Mhm.
just in a different way. So I just wanted to put those two things out there.
No, thank you so much, Coach Shani, for saying that, because it speaks to a lot why a lot of us are in business but not profitable. Like a lot of us are in that position that, I mean, majority of, even just like, I'll say, like, people of color, some of their businesses are not actually thriving. And it's because of that idea, and also not really being in alignment with your gifts. When it comes down to the network marketing and stuff, is that we're looking for opportunity, but we're never actually getting aligned. And so, I don't speak against network marketing, but if you're not even aligning who you are with what the product is, you're not gonna get success in that area. You're not gonna have success. So thank you. And I know that we're at like the top of the hour at this time, where people may need to leave and head out to work as well. And so you guys can jump back on Facebook or so and find what that V and that E is all about. Because we're going to go into the V and the E as well.
You want to go back to Teresa, or you need more
Oh,
time?
sorry. Yes. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, family. Good morning. I'm glad I woke up to hear this part. What I always associated money with was like having a degree and stuff like that. And I always felt like, I didn't, I wasn't enough, when it comes to like having money and where, I saw money. And I realized, that the degree does not make you, have money. It's like, it's how you deal with money and how you feel about money. And I just had, like it wasn't taught in our family. My father and my mother used to work, but they wasn't talking about, how you deal with money, and it was um, like I just didn't see them, teach me this kind of stuff. So I used to be afraid, I haven't I do get my credit score, but I haven't actually, looked at the debt. So I'm really gonna look at, what I can don't, like I give up, and try those different things. And there's a lot of things that y'all just said since I've been on is really great. And I really just appreciate, you being here. And I'm complete. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa, for sharing. And that even, like your value is not even in a degree. There's actually a book, and it's called The Wealth Choice. I can't, the author's name is escaping me right now, but it speaks to that level of, where do we get motivated around our money? And so some people like middle class, like, oh, if I have a degree, then I feel comfortable in my life. And so we have to kind of challenge ourselves, particularly I'm challenging all people, to live in the space of even business ownership and really getting an alignment with our gifts that I was talking about. I do want to go back over the tags. So I know a couple people were asking, what is tags, the acronym again? So let me go back over tags. So tags was T was your talents, right? So recognizing what are your talents. The A was abilities, right? What are your abilities? And then G is your gifts, right? We want to understand your practical and your spiritual gifts. And then the S is your strengths. What are you good at? So your tags are talents, abilities, gifts, and strengths. And you want to take some time to really, figure that out. I mean, if you want to go further, there's a test called the Strength Finder that kind of will talk to you about it. There's a good book, Spiritual Gifts book, and I said it's actually in my office, but I mean my other space. But you want to actually start to get aligned, like, what are like some of my gifts? And so when you make the choice for yourself to, get into business, make sure you're in alignment with what makes sense for you. Okay. But as we're talking about the level of worth, it brings me into that good old V, that good old V for love. And that V for love is value, right? Is value, right? Understanding that about valuable. And so how you see you, and we're talking about that, and it's been coming up, how you see you really determines how you view your money, right? How you see you is will really determine, how you view your money. And we sometimes will, have these different, thoughts. And I speak to so many people, and they'll be like, every time I try to save, it never works out. Maybe if it's not one thing, it's another. I don't know why I even try. Money just slips in my hand like magic, right? It's always gone. And we can get into this state of not understanding what's kind of happening with our money, and it's really because of how we're really valuing ourselves. Is why it's in the money is starting to slip away from us. In psychology, we have this this concept, and it's called learned helplessness. The concept is called learned helplessness. And what learned helplessness means, to give you guys some understanding around it, it's kind of when an uncontrollable bad event happens, something that we're not expecting happens within our lives. And then we perceive that there's no control over it. And then we begin to become helpless. And I'm giving you guys an example that they often, say in the psychology field is, so think of this example, illustration. There's a dog, and the dog is inside of the cage, okay? And the dog is in a cage, and he sees the door, and he tries to get out of the cage. Every time he tries to get out of the cage, he gets shocked. So every time, so he tries to get out of the cage, boom, right? Like, he tries to get out the cage, boom, like it keeps on going. He keeps on getting shocked, okay? Then after a while, they open the door of the cage, right? And the shocks are no longer on the gates. Tell me, y'all could tell me this in the chat. Does the dog ever try to leave? Does he ever try to get out? Even at the door is open, right? Does he get out? So no, exactly. He won't even attempt to try to get out because he has now learned to become helpless, right? He's learned to become helpless. And that is an experience that a lot of us, when it comes down to our money, we're in that same experience. We're in experiences where we find ourselves, it could be regular life, just living. Childhood showed us lack, showed us struggle. That's the shock, right? Trying a business and failing at a business, that's a shock. So all these different things start to become these shocks for us. And then now we learn to become helpless, believing that there's no way out. That happens for us on a regular basis. But, I feel like I came here today to say, hey, the door is open, right? The door is open. It's available for you. And you just have to walk through the door. Because what was your experience before is no longer your experience right now. And so we have to, but how do you go about, walking into the door? I'm going to go into the other aspect of V. If we think of the V, is not only you want to think about value, but I want you to start the process of visualizing, okay? And when you're in the process of visualizing, you are beginning to develop a map towards your abundance. So I want you to start to visualize, more about what would life look like if I wasn't struggling? What would that even look like? What would that even feel like if you weren't in a state of struggle? What would it look like if you understood money? What would it look like if you felt worthy and deserving, of money? What would that begin to look like for you? And, I definitely challenge you, maybe after this, while y'all still in an excitement mode, that you guys can take a moment to think about, what is that for you if you were to visualize that aspect for yourself, okay? And even matter of fact, you guys can start doing it right now. Let's take maybe at least 30 seconds or so and say, like, what would that look like? What would be happening in your life if you were in a position of understanding your money and that you were in a state of financial freedom? What does financial freedom even look like? We hear it all the time. If we were developing generational wealth, what would that look like? What is your vision of that? And I just want to, of course, I'm going to invite somebody to share. I want to hear visions. We talking about the lack, but what does it look like if we're no longer in lack? What does it look like if we're no longer in the struggle state? What is that? What does that actually look like? And you can raise your hand if you would like to share, or I'll call on somebody. Since you guys are like the best audience in community like ever. I'm telling you, I just feel like nobody's even gonna be mad if I call on them. That's awesome. Okay, so is it Dion? I think your hand is raised.
It sure is.
Hi,
How are you? I'm so glad I got up and joined. For me, it really looks like being and traveling, like a big thing that I love doing is traveling. So it's like that option of when I'm ready to go, I can go. It's a matter of, well, right now it's like, do I feel safe to go? But it's not an issue of, can I afford this? Is this okay if I do that? And making purchases from a place of power. So it's an empowered way of being, and traveling to the places and enjoying that experience, in a way that works for me. I didn't realize my video was off, sorry.
No, no problem. Yes, I love that you said purchasing from power. Woo! Y'all should take that and run. Like, about learning how to purchase with power, and definitely and getting the traveling happening. Thank you so much. I love that. Matter of fact, let's get another share. Tell me what the vision looks like for yourself if things are going well in your life. I love to do some traveling too. That's always exciting. COVID, trying to play us, but we will, succeed again. Anybody else, you can raise your hand and share with me about what might be your vision around money. Or anybody in the Facebook, is anybody mentioning anything? So you guys can just let me know. So successful business. So Jacqueline, you want to unshare and unmute and share with us a little bit more about that?
I knew it. Good morning. Yes, I was agreeing with V. Johnson when she was talking about the vision that she has for herself for financial freedom. Looks like travel, multiple home ownership, lack of worry. I'm not a big worrier when it comes to money, but I do agree that I would like to have those things in addition to having a successful business, not just a business, but a conglomerate of businesses in which my family's different talents can be utilized and they can be successful and leave that base for them, that financial capital that they need to pursue their dreams. That's what I want. That's what I want to, that's what I see for my kids and my nieces and nephews and whoever else in my family wants to jump on board. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I love that. I love that. We need to get in a position to be our own bank, you know what I mean, for our families. So when people need a home loan or need business loans, that we're in position to be able to help them at any given time. So I love that. Thank you for the shares. You guys keep on thinking about your vision, right? Like I said, the vision is going to be that map towards your abundance. And we of course talk about vision boards and all of that, have the vision up. You want to have that together, but more importantly, we want to go a little deeper and really work on our self-concept. So sometimes we have vision boards, but never really find ourselves seeing those things in reality, but it's because we have to work on our self-concept, but definitely have affirmations. A great affirmation app is called I Am. That's the app name. It's called I Am. And it actually will have affirmations that just kind of pop up naturally on your phone and will, help you to just begin to develop a different self-concept, because we need to be in the right self-concept in order to be in position to actually make our dreams be reality, make our dreams into reality. All right, so we have now gone through the L of love, that's letting go. So wherever you are in your house, in your life, just be like, whoo, I'm letting go, right? Say it, I'm letting go. And then the O area was owning fears, owning your fears. So let's make sure that we, say, hey, I'm owning my fears. I'm owning my fears. The V area of love was value. So say, I am valuable. Right? Just say I'm valuable. And then the other V is that I have a vision for my life, right? Visualizing. So I have a vision for my life. Okay. I have a vision for my life. And I see y'all actually doing, I can see y'all speaking to those who showing their video. So thank you for that. Love it. Now, as we're talking about these different things, I want to go a little bit further and then talk about this E. Right? Let's talk about this E area, okay? Somebody said they listen to money affirmations. Oh, I do too. I have a money affirmation that says, I I make money easily and effortlessly, right? You know, money flows to me and is attracted to me. You know, whatever, you know, so definitely have your money affirmations, you know, in order, okay? But let's talk about that E, okay? That E. So the E is the extra, right? It's the extra. So what is the extra? Well, we have to throw some extra on our ordinary, right? We got to throw some extra on our ordinary to live extraordinary. You know, so that means, like, you know, what's the difference between, you know, ordinary and extraordinary? What is that difference? It's the what? The extra. It's the extra. So what is the extra that you need to be doing when it comes down to your life? Well, I'm all about firing up the chat and getting fired up today. I'm all excited. I'm probably not even gonna go back to sleep, even though I haven't slept that much. But as we talk about the fire, the first thing that you want to think about in your extra is this, okay? The extra is going to be, and this is going to be your fast action things. So the F of fire, I do a lot of acronyms, and that just popped in my spirit, but, you know, sorry. So here goes another one. But it's fire. It's going to be finance, right? Finance. So we want to understand finances. We want to do the extra and begin getting educated around budgeting, around savings, around credit repair, around home ownership. We want to start getting educated. We live in a world today that clearly, you know, the way that our world is set up is that our world, you don't have to not know anything. There was a time that you'd be like, what was the name of that guy? Or da da da. Like, even I asked, like, what is the name of the author's wealth choice? You know, I don't have to not know anything because you can Google everything. So you can get yourself educated on some things. So that first thing is that you have to have an understanding of finances, understanding of ways to manage your money. You have to put the work in to see a difference. Okay. You have to put the work in to see the difference. Oh, thank you. Has the book. Perfect. And then the I area, that fire, is investing. So in our community, not enough people do investing. We don't invest because we have that fear and we haven't been exposed nor educated about it. And so I, encourage everybody to begin to learn levels of investing. Now, when you're thinking about your kind of investment tree or pyramid, like let's say financial pyramid, the first area of that pyramid is going to be like life insurance. You definitely want to have life insurance. Make sure your protection is okay. And one thing that I have learned, I'm actually a life insurance agent as well, but one thing I have learned when it comes down to the life insurance game is that most people of color don't have enough coverage. That's their issue. Sometimes we have coverages out there. I mean, most of us be like, it's so many GoFundMe accounts. Maybe it's not. But a lot of us have policies, but we don't have enough coverage. So definitely have that foundational tree there. But not only if you want to have that protection of life insurance, we want to get into a state, and this is going to be kind of your first milestone, is going to be abundance fund, having an abundance fund. So write that down, an abundance fund. You know, most people call it emergency funds, but I'm not about manifesting emergencies in my life. So I don't need an emergency fund. I need an abundance fund. So if something was to happen, car tire or something like that, goes down, that I'm in abundance. So I have the ability to go ahead and fix that, to fix the tire, right? If I lose my job, I have an abundance fund, so I'm able to manage because I'm living in abundance. So abundance fund, for most people, they say having 3 to 6 months, right, is the natural area. But I noticed that for the most part, we need to get to a place we at least have 1 month, at least 1 month of our expenses saved. And this is a habit. I think Purple kind of alluded to this, even the level of getting comfortable with money just sitting in our account. We have to get comfortable with money sitting in our account, right? So I just want to give y'all some practical tools as we leave with the extra. I'm going to encourage everybody to get what is called a high yield savings account. High yield savings account. One of the savings accounts that is important, and I'm just going to put that in the chat, it's called Synchrony. It's a good one. You don't need a minimum, and they give you better interest rates. Better interest rates. And we want to be in a position that you're starting to save, you want to make as much money on that money as possible. Okay. But you guys can Google high yield savings accounts, and you can get better interest on those accounts. So definitely that's where you want to have your abundance fund. They're mostly online accounts. The beauty about it, you guys, the beauty is that it can save you from you. It's saving you from you, because that's what we have to do, is that it takes a little bit of time before you get your money back. So you don't end up deciding. I don't want anybody ever been in this position where you're like, oh, I have nothing in my checking and I have a whole lot in my savings. What do? Transfer it. You transfer it over. But it takes 3 days or so. So it helps us with that level of impulsive spending that we can have. So it really helps us manage that. So I want you to make sure that you're in that position to have at least an abundance fund, okay, in the high yield savings account. The other area is like, stocks, like learning how to invest in stocks. You see, we're on Zoom, a month of when this all started, Zoom, none of you guys were even using Zoom, but now you guys are Zoom proficient, right? You can put it on a resume. So it's a different world. But Zoom, if we were understanding stocks and investing, we could have been able to benefit from something that we always use. So I tell people, don't be a consumer, but be an investor. So that's going to be very important to continue to learn the areas of investing. Another area is the R, and the R is real estate. Real estate. We have to become homeowners. We have to become homeowners. And a lot of us feel like, oh, I'll never get there. Or maybe I'm too old. I get that a lot. Like, I'm too old. I'm in my 50s. Should I even get a home? Well, as long as you still believe you have, life to live, then home ownership is going to be important, right? Because when it comes down to rent can go up anytime. But a mortgage is going to stay solid. You know what I mean, for 30 years. And that's an easier way to plan for a retirement, knowing what your number is going to be and not letting somebody else to have control over that. So I definitely encourage, home ownership for all of us. Okay. So I encourage everybody to be in a position of getting into a home. So fixing up that level of credit to get to the place of home ownership. To go to the next level. I mean, some people's goals were saying, I want to have multiple homes, right? Investment properties. You work hard for your money. You need to make your money work hard for you, right? So we want make multiple investment properties to also be happening. I did see a couple of hands, so I'm gonna stop real quick and we'll get to the time. We good on time. Keisha, it was someone else who also had a hand, but Keisha, let's go ahead and unmute.
Hi, it's Kaisha.
Oh, Kaisha. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
hate when people mess up my name. All right, Kaisha.
It's fine. So I'm listening to you, and I guess I wanted to know, what do you think about those who have money, maybe not a lot, but the money that we have, because we come from lack, we're stuck. We are afraid to spend, or about our worth. We're afraid to put our worth out there. And I give you an example that I've been thinking about as you speak. I am a homeowner and I live in Texas, but I'm a landlord in Colorado with a property manager. The property manager, after 3 years, comes to me and says, "Hey, it's time to raise your rent. It's lower than market value. Let's raise it." Oh, I was like, well, wait, these people, they're renters. I don't want to disturb them. I don't want to mess up their finances. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't want to. And so Maggie is the woman. She was like, it's only $25. I really can't see them moving for $25. But that increase that you mentioned would be more money for me. But I'm thinking of my renters, because I don't want to disturb their, I don't want to mess up their what they have going on for $25 a month.
Mhm.
And so to me that's a fear. That's a
Yes.
fear of taking care of myself because I'm thinking of others. Another situation about um you're increasing your money by promotions or by stocks, like you said, but you're afraid to enjoy life.
Hmm.
Um, the example I have is, and this just sounds funny, but it's the difference between dog boarders. I had to board my dog 'cause I'm out of town this weekend,
Hmm.
and there's a $22 dog boarder that where my dog fights to get out the door when I pick her up. Okay. But there's a $30 dog boarder where my dog says goodbye to everyone. She's relaxed. I don't have to put her on the leash when I take her in there because
Uh-huh.
she knows she's gonna have a good time. You
Yeah.
know. So I chose the $30 one. I can swing it, but I said I have to stop acting like I'm poor.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is a fear. It's a difference between hotel rooms. I would not stay at a Days Inn. I'd rather stay at a La Quinta Inn.
Hmm.
But because I'm afraid, as I'm increasing, I'm afraid to move forward and to live my life as we spoke about in this meeting, to live my life. So can you touch on that about those of us who just afraid to move forward?
Yes, definitely. In interesting enough, I more resonate in your story personally, right? Because I was so worried of like always ever being in struggle that I had did all the advanced education and made sure that I was doing well with my money, but found myself in that same like position of like, oh my god, like like should like not being extra fancy and luxurious as I feel I really could be, but making choices of lower areas. And I would definitely say when going through kind of that process, even for me, and this is why I'm huge on the levels of affirmations and stuff like that, because it's a process of really changing our self concept, and that takes time. That takes time, of course, but it's the time of we have to take a moment to. I do a lot of scripting and like manifesting goodness in my life. I am big on telling people saturate your environment with positivity. There's always like messages around my home that reminds me of like really who I am, and that like abundance is, like I say, abundance is always around me. I have abundance in all areas. I make sure to speak to that all the time. And I think that because it's the level of really changing you. That's what we're going through, right? It's not changing your money, but changing you and how you're viewing what's happening around you. And so I decide, to really kind of go deep in that area and every day, speak to the affirmations. I'm affirming always some good things on myself to remind myself that I'm worthy, that I'm deserving of to being in the position, in the place that I'm in, you know. So abundance is my birthright. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's a great one. Let's say to yourself, abundance is my birthright, is my birthright, you know. Um, all right. And let me go into Dion, because Dion, you actually had your hand up for a while. I apologize. To have her unmute. Dion, are you still there?
I am.
Okay.
It's hilarious. So I was so excited about getting on here and listening to you, girl, that I was like, I dropped my phone in water, dried it off, and came back. But so yes, I was like, I was listening and I loved everything that you said. And one of mine is that I create abundance with ease. So and with abundance with ease, and I love the account and everything that you said. And I was really trying to figure out how I came to some of these things because I'm listening to you going, yes, got that life insurance, home ownership. And now you've created in me like the question of like, what is the next step? Because I do want to own in another country, and how to level that up. And like the house will be paid for in the next few years. And that's how I planned on retirement. So it'll be paid for before I'm 60, as like, so what is the next level? If you're like, all right, I got a vacation fund, I got this, like, what's a suggestion for that? If you're like, wow, because you just affirmed that I did some things Well, I
Right.
hadn't thought about it, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm savoring in this self-love day that there's some things that I'd planned on that it's like, oh, you did that. I didn't even realize you're doing the next thing and didn't realize that I had done some things in that area. So thank you for that affirmation, Dr. Roach. Um, how do you suggest sharing that with our children and our family, and what's the next level if you have some of the things that you've stated already?
Definitely. So, we always talk about leaving legacy, right? That's a huge thing that we everybody says, like, leave legacy. But what's so important, and you guys may even have seen this in your lives, is that we don't take the time to leave legacy of education. We always are so focused on leaving something to maybe our children or to our family, and forget to leave something in our children and something in our family, right? And so I think that definitely is the next step, is to start to think, what is going to be my give back in learning the skills on how I was able to manage my money, learn the skills on how I was able to invest in, property, like Kaisha did, like learn those skills and sharing it first with our immediate families, but then even going further and sharing it with our communities, because other people need to know that it's possible, right? You may have stumbled on, greatness, right? But like, how can you start to share that with other people? And that can be in an area of just your mission, that you get passionate about and you share with people, or you can get into a place where you do the E in FIRE was entrepreneurship, right? Or you choose to like align yourself with your gifts to be able to maybe start coaching people on what you already know and what you've already learned how to do, based on like who you are, as well. Because I do believe that, we also need to be business owners. And the reason why, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a little nervous about that. And I don't care if you have like a huge business or not. But even just, we're in tax season right now. And when you are a business owner, you have a opportunity to at least get more of your money back and be in a better position. So that's why I'm always telling people, I even do a presentation about W-2s versus 1099s. What does it look like? You can make the same 6 figures and look a lot better, as a business owner. So yes, having a proper profitable business, because a lot of us are, not in a place that we understand anything. And it's very important for us to invest, like I say, invest in coaching or whatever it may be, to help us. And I know that we are like right at the end of the time, right now. So thank you, those that actually shared, and shared this morning. I wanted to leave you guys with this beautiful story called The Ordinary Story. I don't know if we have any time for the ordinary story on today. I don't want to belabor you and keep this too long. But let me just briefly say it. I'll take 1 minute. Is that okay? I just want to ask the administrators, is it okay for me to share this story? I know we're a little over time. Okay, so so this story is called The Ordinary Story. This is more of just a story of motivation. Okay, just more of motivation. So there was this little girl named Ordinary, and she was from the family of nobodies, and she lived in the land of familiar. Does anybody know a little girl named Ordinary? And one day the dream giver came to her and told her that she was meant to be a somebody, and she was meant to do great things. Meant to do great things. And so she got excited. Some of us have areas where we like, oh, our dreams are inside of us. We get really excited about it. So she went and told her best friend, oh, girl, the dream giver came to visit me and told me I was meant to be a somebody, and I was meant to do great things. And so she decided that she was going to go out and do this. And then her best friend was like, well, a lot of nobodies don't like when people trying to become somebodies, right? So then she got scared, and she was like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be a somebody. So she held on to her dream. What happens to a dream that's deferred? So she held on to her dream, never doing anything with her dream. After years go by, she's talking to her father, And she tells her father that the dream giver came and visited her. And her dad said, well, go out and do your dream because I didn't do anything with my dream. So then she gets excited. She starts to approach the border of the land of familiar. I'm going out there. I'm going to get my dream going. And so she starts to approach the border of the land of familiar. And she's starting to feel a lot of anxiety. So she's like, maybe this isn't the right way because I shouldn't feel all of this extra inside of me. So like, maybe I should turn back around because that's more familiar. But something inside of her said, push to continue to go towards the border of the land of familiar. So she kept going. Once she got to the land of familiar, the border of the land of familiar, there was her mother and there was her best friend. And they were saying, no, don't be trying to go out and be a somebody. You are from the family of nobodies. You better stay as a family of nobody. And so she was in a position feeling really nervous, like, oh my goodness, I can't go out and be a somebody because I'm going to leave everybody I know. And that's that process as we're going through to really get to great things. So then the dream giver sent a somebody who used to be a nobody named Champion. And Champion said, listen to the border bullies and decide to develop a strategic plan on how to manage where they're saying, don't go leave your job, you need benefits. So then maybe get some, covered California, some Obamacare, right? So you get some strategic areas to make it work. And so then she decided to continue on and she makes it to the land of the unknown. And when she's in the land of unknown, she finds herself battling areas of rejection, battling areas of worry, battling areas of I'm not good enough, battling areas of lack of resources. And she was like, maybe I don't belong here anymore. Right. And so the dream giver sent another somebody who used to be a nobody named Faith. And Faith said, I am just here to just walk with you on this journey to make it a little easier for you. And then Ordinary went out to the promised land. She became a somebody. She began to do great things. And then what she did was go back to all the other nobodies to tell them that you can be a somebody too. I just wanted to throw that in here because, a lot of us find ourselves ordinary and we need to be in a position to throw a little extra on it, so we can be extraordinary. So I challenge all of you guys to just do the extra when it comes down to your money, to ownership, and to continue to be great. So thank you guys on today. I apologize for taking a little more time. And the story is from the book called The Dream Giver. But when you look at it, you'd be like, she changed it a little bit, but just so you guys know.
Thank you, Dr. Rosché. I want to tell you, I totally enjoyed that story. Totally enjoyed that story. I want to replay and listen to that story again. I am going to bring up your special offer.
Okay.
And we can go through that.
Yes. So on today, I have a special offer. I have a university called Rethinking Money University, where I actually go through, the areas of manifestation, mindset, making money, managing, and of course, multiplying it. And it actually is $88. But I am offering 2 people on today to get it for 50% off. And so we actually meet once a month. This month, we're actually talking about taxes and making sure that we're getting as much money back from our taxes. But for everybody in the community, I'm giving the opportunity for everybody to have access to the free case study video about the L.O.V.E method. You guys can go to it's actually mymindonmymoney.com. I apologize. I saw it earlier and thought it was right. It's mymindonmymoney.com. Okay. mymindonmymoney.com. Okay. And so for the people who are going to win, so I just gave you guys a beautiful acronym. So whoever is the first to put in the chat, what does the L of love stand for? Then I will you'll be the first person. Let go. Jacqueline, you are in there. Woo, that was fast. Okay. And then real quick, Let's see. I'll just choose the first two people. That's what I'll do. So the first two people, Jacqueline and Terry, you guys will get the free, the 50% off for Rethinking Money University. Yay!
Okay, I would like to
I
hear from
accept.
both.
I
Clint
accept.
Awesome. And Terry?
Good morning. I accept.
Awesome,
All
Terry.
right.
Okay, so I will share Dr. Roshé's contact information, and please reach out to Dr. Rosché. Dr. Rosché, can you go through your contact, please?
Yes. So, any of you guys can definitely reach out to me. My phone number is 510-629-9362. Definitely follow me on Facebook, Dr. Rosché. And then Instagram, I'm Dr._Rosché. And you can also email me at hello@drofrethinking.com. hello@drofrethinking.com. And then you guys see there, mymindonmymoney.com. That will give you the opportunity to, learn the L.O.V.E method, as well as, be a part of my email list. I'll drop a whole bunch of gems around manifesting and making money and managing it. And then if you are interested in the university, it's rethinkingmoneyuniversity.com. So rethinkingmoneyuniversity.com. You guys can also be a part of that. So I would love to, get to know you guys more. Maybe take a picture of it. And then we've been talking about money. So, L.O.V.E offerings and donations is also, something that we want to talk about today. So you can Zelle or quick pay us at soulleadershipdevelopment@gmail.com. Also Cash App at $Spirit of a Woman. And the code for today will be #261, and that's DRB for Dr. Rosché Brown. So DRB, #261 DRB. And then we have some amazing speakers that are going to be coming up soon. And look at this topic, right? Pop that cherry. What? Don't we want to pop that cherry? Facilitated by Shanale Mejia. I knew I was going to say it right. Did I say it right? Mejia? But it's Shanale Mejia, as well as Transformation Tuesday with Yogisha, facilitated by Stacy McLean. Make sure, hey, let's make it rain. All right, and then continue to check out Wake Up Everybody. The schedule for it is on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays over Zoom, 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., as well as on Mondays and Tuesdays, it's from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Catch on Zoom live workshops, as well as Facebook stream live on Facebook. Thank you, everybody. Continue to stay in touch with the Wake Up Everybody community. I would definitely take a picture of all those different areas. Make sure you register, make sure you're on Facebook. You guys definitely fire up the chat in Facebook. If there was any nuggets that I missed, I will definitely go back and see what your nuggets are. Tell me your vision statement, tell me your challenges. Put that in the Facebook group, as well as, follow us on Instagram. Maybe take some pictures. Go ahead and tag Wake Up Everybody Virtual on there, as well as check out YouTube and email if necessary.
So let me share really quickly with everyone a couple of things. So we want to invite the community to go on the Facebook page and do what Dr. Rosché just shared, which is to share on the thread, and she will give you feedback. However, we're also encouraging independent posts. I want to give a shout out to Teresa Scott for adding posts, I think either yesterday or today, but just putting independent posts up. We want to have the space be robust, that the community is like, we want to see people walking around. You go outside and there's nobody on the street. It's like, where's everybody? That's how our Facebook page can be sometimes. It's like it's alive when there's a live video, and then the in-between time, there's no engagement. And so we're working diligently as an admin team, as a community, to make sure that this community, because it's so dope, that it's alive and sharing and building and talking about where you've applied these pieces. Like I think about what Dr. Rosché has presented today. Like we want to hear, like if you actually went and looked at your credit score, and if you actually created, what did you call the not the emergency fund,
Abundance fund.
The abundance fund. Like,
Yes.
you're investing in yourself and exploring and just ripping the Band-Aid off as it relates to your financial journey and freedom. So please do post on the page, not just on the thread with the video, but actually in the neighborhood of Wake Up Everybody. I also want to acknowledge your guests. If there are some, I believe that I usually know most of the names or all of the names of the participants. If there are people on Facebook and also in the Zoom space that came because of the relationship that you have with Dr. Rosché, please announce yourselves. Please raise your hand in the space. Please put it in the chat. Doc, if you see people who are part of your community who got up 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, we want to acknowledge them and say, no hit it and quit it, no one and done. Come on back through and be a part of the community like Dr. Rosché is, so that we can keep growing and transforming together. If you've seen our logo, it's like wings spread out and there's levels to it. And John Carl created that so powerfully and so divinely. And it means that you ascend in this space beyond your growing edge, beyond your understanding, beyond your understanding of growth and development. So we ask that you continue to ascend with us by coming on back. So, Doc, do you see anybody in the space that is uniquely connected to you that we want to acknowledge? No pressure.
No, I don't think I see anybody.
Oh, okay. There were people who came and went. So they may have been part of your community. Maybe they fell back to sleep since you're in the West Coast. They're like, oh, I'm tired. So just wanted to say those things. And John, are we ready to do the celebration, or is there something else we need to be announcing in the space?
No, Shawnee, I think you got it all.
All right.
We are ready for the love shower.
All right. So we invite you all to unmute yourselves, to share with your voices, and physically to share, hand claps, smiles, all of that good stuff. I'm inviting everyone to unmute. So Adam, and yeah, there you go.
Dr. Rosché, thank you. God bless you.
Dr.
I woke up
For beautiful energy, high vibration, spirit.
Thank
Thank you.
Let's move forward, everybody.
Thank you. I'm gonna go back so I can.
I love it. Thank you.
Great day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Valentine's Day. You're my love.
Love y'all.
I love that abundance.
You're my
Oh, I love
sweetheart.
it.
My abundant sweetheart.
Get my abundance fun. Yes, indeed.
Yes, my
Have a
abundant
beautiful
sweetheart.
day.
Yes.
Thank
Love
you,
y'all,
beautiful
love y'all,
chocolate
truly
queen.
love y'all.
Thank you, admin team.
Thank you,
Happy
Shawnee,
Sunday, everyone. Go love on
Jermaine, and
yourself.
everyone.
Take a
And
nice
John
bath with some
Carl,
rose
y'all
petals.
are the
Rub yourself
boss.
down with some oils.
Nigel, all the
And
admin
have a
teams,
good
y'all rock.
day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone who
admin.
shared
Thank you,
their
Shawnee.
words with
Thank
us.
y'all.
Love y'all.
Dr.
Mwah.
You admin
Oh,
team.
my
Thank
love, my
you.
loves, my loves.
Thank you, Shawnee. Thank
Y'all,
you,
my loves, the loves of my life.
Thank you, John.
Mwah.
Thank you, Charmaine.
Mwah.
Thank you,
Mwah.
Naja. Thank you for your presence.
Yes, thank you.
And love.
I was supposed to
These
show my
pretty
face to y'all.
round golden
Y'all my
faces.
love. Mwah. 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 Mwah.
Dion glowing.
Love you, lovelies. I love y'all.
Yes.
Nice.